What's going on YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai 71 here bringing another video. Today I'm bringing you a video on something that it's a little different. I haven't really talked about it recently. In fact, I haven't talked about it in several months now. That is Star Wars. Now, you may think to yourself, what specifically? Well, it's something that kind of has gotten a bunch of attention in the past couple of days. I thought I would put in some comments about it because I am one of the main people that started the whole conversation about the argument regarding the title of the new movie, the new Star Wars movie Episode 8 title, Last Jedi. Now, the argument is Last Jedi. People at first assumed Last Jedi, oh, it has to be Luke. That they ended it in the way where basically they're going to show what happened in between episodes 6 and 7, and that's basically what they are saying, at least for now. They are going to explain what happened to him in that time, because, you know, it's a lot of time. He goes from probably a 20-30-year-old man to a guy with a really gray beard. I mean, he's not a youngster anymore. He looks very different, but he still is recognizable, Mark Hamill. So the thing is that the thing to remember when it says Last Jedi, sure, there was Return of the Jedi, but the thing that you have to keep in mind is that Jedi doesn't necessarily mean it is singular. Jedi can be one Jedi, Jedi can be 5 Jedi. You don't say Jedis. What does that mean? What that means is he is one of a couple of Jedi that we know that are still alive, or that are still Jedi. At this point, we can assume he's one, Rey's one, and Kylo's one. Technically, those 3 are Jedi. Yes, you could argue, oh, wasn't Kylo isn't Kylo technically a Sith Lord? Sort of. He's not really trained. You also have to keep in mind that that he did know how to use a lightsaber before he turned to the dark side, so it wasn't like he just kind of learned everything. Like, he knew how to use a lightsaber, so you would assume he probably had some Jedi skills. So I would assume that. Now, obviously, you could say that he's a Sith Lord, and that's kind of an argumentative position, but he's not trained, and he still can be manipulated in the senses of turning back to good, because he's not Darth Vader, where Darth Vader had everything except for his face and some of his brain still with him. But other than that, he really was he was mainly just a machine. He had emotions, he had feelings, which is good, but it definitely had him as a darker figure, and you could tell that he had a lot of time, because between episode 3 and 4, that's like, you can imagine, that's probably 15-16 years plus. You have to think about how much time it takes for Luke to go from a baby to how old he is in A New Hope. That's probably at least 16 years, more likely than not. You can imagine it's something along those lines. Same with Leia, obviously. And what that means is he had lots of time to train to become someone of evil who has a lot of experience with being a Sith Lord, and with learning all the different tactics that come with that, and having the stronger Force abilities, and having other special capabilities that are unique to him. That's important. Now, as far as how this connects, I wanted to talk about the title. That means those 3 technically count. Now, Kylo Ren, obviously, his name is really Ben, but you get the point. That's the name that they're giving him, and he's technically 1. You could also kind of say Finn if you want to, just because he did one fight with a lightsaber, although I really don't necessarily count that unless they actually go out of their way to really teach him. Of course, we could find out that he actually will have a role where he will be using a lot next movie, but we don't really know yet. We know that it's coming out this year, December 15th, which is great, but we don't know enough. We want to hope it's going to be something interesting. We want to see where this is going to go. We want to see how Luke and Rey will interact. We want to see how they work together. What role does Luke have in the story? Is there going to be some connection with him and Kylo? Because apparently, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe Luke may have trained with Ben. I'm not 100% sure though. Keep that in mind. But I'm very curious. I'm very curious to know more about this. I do want to know what they're going to do with this. I've watched all 8 movies that they've released so far. and I'm very curious how this one's going to play out compared to those. So I'd love to know your guys' opinions. Have you heard about this title? What are your thoughts on it? Are you planning on going to see it when it releases? I'd love to know your guys' opinions. So until then, guys, I'm Crazy Sarah, everyone, and goodbye, guys.